I just can't get away from a good time.
It sets up deep in the pocket. Goes down the field for Smith. Oh, he caught it!
This ball is drilled to center field. Pilar at the wall, gets there and hangs on.
Top shelf where mama hides the cookies.
This infield is a great wall of China. Nothing's getting past us. Good D behind you, Bry. Good D all around.
Get that garbage out of here.
He runs to the 50. He runs to the 40. The guy is drunk, but there he goes.
It's not always whether you win or lose. It's whether you're winning or losing.
I guess that's what I'm saying, Brooksy. You get that through your head?
And welcome to an exciting edition of Sports Chatter with Bax and Patter. I'm your host, Brandon Bax.
And I'm Patrick Reed. It's Monday, February 6th, 2017. Big Super Bowl yesterday, and we couldn't wait to get into it. So why don't we get right into it with our NFL segment?
Bobby, water sucks.
It's my team. It's my quarterback.
Whoever said you had to be good to play football?
Will you teach me to football?
I'll teach you anything. Just don't eat me.
It was all that Dan Marino's fault. Everyone knows that.
Come on! Football!
Welcome to the NFL segment of this week's Sports Chatter. We're talking Super Bowl. We're recapping it. We're recapping the NFL season. And I understand we have New England Patriots superfan Kevin O'Brien on the line with us today. How you doing, Kev?
Hey, not too bad, guys. How you doing?
Not too bad. We could be better. Atlanta could have won, but can't win them all.
First off, Kev, we want to ask you how are you feeling today as a super fan of the New England Patriots?
I'm feeling pretty at ease today. Let me tell you, it was quite an emotional roller coaster yesterday. It was a great game though. Definitely glad about the outcome. That's for sure.
Yeah, I almost turned it off at halftime. I thought she was over, but I'm glad I stuck around. Waited through Lady Gaga, and
then it got really good.
And then it got really good after that.
Yeah, so take us through it. Take us through the game, Kev. When it's 28-3, what are you thinking?
I think he's pounding the beers back.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I was getting a little depressed, pretty quiet. Trying not to look at my phone with everyone chirping. Yeah. You can't count out Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. It's just as simple as that. And that's all I kept saying was, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. I thought they were coming out to start a second half there, shutting down Atlanta and going right down for a touchdown. It didn't happen right away. But, it took till almost the end of the third quarter before we did anything. And then it was just steamrolling from there.
Yeah.
Do you take this as a Falcons collapse or a Pats win?
I would say it shows the Patriots' resilience, really, more than anything. I don't think the Falcons did anything wrong, really. I think they played spectacular. Matt Ryan is a beast, hands down. That offense is unreal. The defense was all over Brady most of the game. But I think the fact that the Pats had so much to overcome this year, with Brady being out the 4-game suspension and whatnot, that their resilience just persevered in the end, and they were able to tire out the defense and finally got some yards going and some good plays. And, talk about that Edelman catch, and then James White just sealing the deal.
So our keys to the game last week basically was whatever team was going to get to the quarterback and hit the quarterbacks more was going to win. Turns out that both quarterbacks were hit multiple times. Brady, I think, was hit a total of 20-something times. How were they able to still kind of win even with Brady getting hit that much?
Like I said, resilience, man. I think that's basically what it comes down to. Brady just doesn't let it shake him. Matt Ryan is the same way, though. He didn't really. Every time he got hit and knocked down, I think it was pretty equal on the sacks, actually, both sides.
Yeah, 5 a side.
It wasn't one side heavy over the other. But Brady did, I think, get hit quite a bit more. He was knocked down almost every single time he tried to throw the ball for the first 3 quarters, pretty much, and then. They just kind of found a way to finally break open the receivers, and the running back got a little bit of the running game going finally, and then, just kind of kept going with it.
Absolutely. One of the things I did notice was that the Falcons started off playing more man-to-man defense, but as the game went on, especially through the second half when they really started getting the pressure put on them, they switched back to their zone defense, much the way the Seattle Seahawks played. I don't know if that had any effect on the game, but it seemed to.
Yeah, I think it is, though. They had a big lead. They had 25 points in the Super Bowl. No one's ever come back from it. you start to feel a little bit cocky, I think, on the defense there. You kind of let up a little bit when you're trying to still play aggressive. Subconsciously, you don't realize it. And I think you're just like, okay, well, I can let this one play go because, I mean, we're up 25 points. Who cares? And then that one play turns out to be a big play, which turns into another big play. You know, it just keeps going, right? So.
Absolutely. I mean, you mentioned there the Edelman catch and sort of cut you off, but I mean, Julio Jones made a couple unbelievable catches, but that Edelman catch was just unreal.
Well, I think Julio Jones, that sideline catch there, is going to be the greatest catch to be forgotten. Absolutely, right there. But Edelman, like, the Patriots were due for a catch like that in the Super Bowl. Like, come on. Tyreek helmet catch, Jeremy Curse 2 years ago. We ended up pulling out the end and winning that game, but like we've been burnt on those kind of plays so many times that it was nice to be finally on the receiving end. Like,
for sure.
Actually have that
I'm
play.
watching it live. I thought for sure that it hit the ground. Like I was watching it and I saw. And I said to myself, I was like, "Oh, good job, Edelman, trying to make it look like he caught the ball, even though it hit the ground." But then in the replay, it shows it hit the guy's leg and then he scooped it up. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. It was almost like the Curse play last year where it went off wasn't it Butler's foot, and then Curse caught it up when he was laying on the ground. Like, I did the same thing. I was jumping out because I was like, oh yeah, sweet play, and I was like, oh, it hit the ground. And then when I saw the replay, I fell to my knees. I was so like I could not believe it.
So let's get into the comeback a little bit. It's 28, I think 12 at one point. Atlanta, they
have it in the red zone.
They have it in the red zone. I think Ryan gets hit and strip sacked, and then Brady marches right back again. What's your kind of feelings when that's all happening?
Oh well, it was great to watch. It was like two drives by Atlanta that both got stopped. Huge. It was like you said, the strip sack there, which resulted in us getting a touchdown, and then the next time they're down in the red zone, they're field goal range, and.
They don't run it. They don't run the ball.
Yeah, Matt Ryan gets sacked.
Shades of Seattle.
Yep,
exactly. Matt Ryan gets sacked, loses a few yards. Next thing, he makes the next play, but what happens? Holding penalty. Back again. Now they're on the 50-yard line. They have to punt it. So they gave up 3 points, which would have gave them the game, clearly.
It's almost that they overthunk it, kind of like Pete Carroll, like you just said, with not running it a couple years back.
Well, I mean, what's his name? The head coach there used to be the defensive coordinator when they played New England and
Quinn.
The last Super Bowl, right? So old Quinn there, Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn, isn't it? Yeah.
Dan Quinn, yeah.
Yeah. So maybe it's the curse. We just can't beat Tom Brady.
So and not only did they have to score a couple touchdowns, but they had to get two 2-point conversions. They only had 1 of 2 all season, and then they had to get 2 in the fourth quarter just to get to overtime. That's amazing.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. We're down 25 points. It's 28 to 9, I think, at the time. No, 28, whatever it was, 28-3. And then we get the touchdown. Then Gronkowski misses the field goal. And you're like, come on, seriously? We can't catch a break.
And then he botches the onside kick. I think I sent a text to you saying I'm pretty sure he gets cut if they lose this game.
I've already kind of started to lose a little bit of faith in Gronkowski this season. I mean, like I said, he's been unreal. He's probably been one of the most consistent kickers over the past how many seasons. And then this season, he was so inconsistent. I don't know what it is. Hopefully he picks it up on this offseason and he can crush it next year. But I don't know. I'm getting a little worried there. But, yeah, so they're down to 25 points. They hit this touchdown, don't get the extra point. Then they get a field goal, so now it's 12 to 28. Then so now we need 9-28, 12-28. Then we get the touchdown and the 2 points, and you're like, wow, like that rarely ever happens.
Yeah.
Well, now we got to do it again, and then we did it. Tied up
did it again.
28, and then we win a coin toss, and the rest is pretty much history. Like 31 unanswered points. That was kind of nice.
Speaking of coin toss and the overtime there, I'm not a big fan of the overtime rule. Just because not both teams get a chance at offense. I'm not sure. I'm assuming they've thought of it, and maybe it doesn't make sense. But what about just doing a full 15-minute quarter, and whoever's winning after that wins?
Yeah, right. My view is pretty similar. I think the overtime rules that used to be where you could just go get the 3 points and be game over, I think the new rules are a lot better. If you get a field goal, the other team gets a chance.
Yeah.
Because I think it's still technically kind of fair because your defense should be able to still stop them, right?
But basically,
however,
Yeah.
However, I agree. I think you should go to the NBA, play the full quarter, and then see what happens at the end.
Absolutely, and especially when the NFL, I don't know if you heard this, but they made an extra $20 million selling ads for overtime.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a money grab. So why wouldn't you play the full quarter then, right? Like,
so
I think here's my thing. This is the first ever overtime in Super Bowl history. The rules are probably going to change this offseason, I bet. I would not be surprised if something happens there. Because I think there's a lot of people that aren't happy. Like, it's fine if it's regular season, maybe for playoffs, but when it's the biggest game of the year.
Yeah, so that Falcons defense was completely gassed. The amount of snaps that the Patriots had compared to the Falcons was almost triple, and they're gassed.
I think Matt Ryan only had 40-something snaps.
Yeah, and I was saying, even as it was happening, if the Patriots win this coin toss in overtime, Matt Ryan's not getting a chance. He's not even going to touch the ball, and he's going to lose the Super Bowl, and that's going to be unbelievable because just of the way that whole team has played all year, and they're not even going to get a chance to respond because Brady is that on right now.
For sure, especially for a league that really favors offense. You'd think they'd want to have both star players out there getting a chance to peddle their wares.
Yeah, I agree. I said that too. I said if the Pats hit the ball, I said, you know what, honestly, I think that even if Atlanta got the ball, it could have still turned out the same way just because New England was on such a roll with the momentum. Even the defense was on fire right now after those two huge stops against Matt Ryan. That I think they could have potentially stopped him again, and then we could have just got a field goal. But it's totally if Atlanta won the coin toss, it could be a totally different outcome. Like who knows what's going to happen, right? So I agree. It should be a full quarter. I think both teams should at least get a shot at it. I don't know, man.
Absolutely. Speaking of money grabs, have you been perusing online looking for Tom Brady's missing jersey?
I don't need to look online. I have it here in my
Two guys that I wanted to mention, White and Mitchell. We mentioned them briefly, but unbelievable games. Mitchell being a rookie, coming back from training camp, had a broken elbow there, and I think he was the most targeted yesterday. Unbelievable. It just goes to show you the power of Bill Belichick and what he can do.
Oh, yeah. He takes no-name guys and makes them into stars. Like you said, Malcolm Mitchell, coming out of nowhere.
James White and
Chris Hogan.
Chris Hogan, yeah.
Chris Hogan coming from Buffalo. He used to be a lacrosse player. Now he's a Super Bowl world champion. But James White, the thing with James White is everyone else didn't really know who James White was until the Super Bowl. Pats fans knew who James White was, though. Last time they were in the Super Bowl against the Seahawks, White was a healthy scratch. He was inactive for the game. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that was because he slipped in through one of the alarms during the playoffs, so he missed a practice, and then he ended up getting benched the rest of the way through because they had too many options. But, James White has been unreal. And you know what? You guys want to hear a fun fact? Is the Pats have never lost with Deion Lewis starting.
Oh, that's an interesting stat.
If Deion Lewis is playing, they have not lost yet. So, there you go.
That is interesting. And you mentioned Bill Belichick there. I want to get into his post-game presser. He said they're 5 weeks behind preparing for next year.
Yeah,
you gotta love that intensity.
That's you know what a lot of the players are saying. I was watching some of the post game things on NFL Network and whatever else, but they were talking with some of the guys, and I think it was Chris Hogan said, no, it's McCourty. They're talking to McCourty and said, how long does Bill take off now that he gets to celebrate? You know, the most wins by a coach. He said, well, he'll probably take the rest of the night off. That's it. And then it's back to preparing for next season. Go get ready for the draft, get ready for the training camp, everything else. So.
Well, I don't even think he was taking the rest of the night off. He called out Tom Brady in his post-game presser for throwing that pick.
I'm sure there's probably some words flying around today. Speaking of today, did you guys get to catch the award ceremony with Goodell?
No, we didn't.
No, we missed it.
Handing out the MVP award, it looked pretty awkward, but I don't know if we want to go there.
We do want to go somewhere, though. We want to see your thoughts on Rob Gronkowski. Is he expendable now? I mean, Bill Belichick is notorious for taking cheap guys, and as long as they're performing, they perform. But as soon as they don't perform, they're out. Rob Gronkowski is notoriously injury prone, and he's a party boy. Not exactly Bill's kind of guy.
No, but I think the thing is that he his mental toughness is insane. he's in the gym and training facilities almost as much as Brady is, when he's healthy, of course. The guy is just too good when he's healthy that I don't think they'll get rid of him. I would not be surprised to see if Gronk wants to stay. You might look at restructuring a contract for maybe a little bit less money. Now that he does have the 2 rings, but I would bet that Gronk is staying in New England for a little while, along with Edelman. Like, you can't get rid of Edelman either.
Yeah, those guys are definitely mainstays there. Kev, we have to ask you though, in the fourth quarter, how much air was really let out of those balls?
I mean, I think on the Atlanta sideline, all the air was gone, but the actual footballs themselves, I don't know.
Nice. Nice, I like that. You want to stick around and give us your GOAT?
Oh, absolutely, why not?
All right, let's hit the intro.
So what you're saying is, we're at this level, but we got to get to this level.
I told you all that I was the greatest of all time.
A cool dude, a good teammate, good attitude about things, probably get some chicks.
Okay, Kev, you're the guest here. Why don't you give us your GOAT? And this, of course, is our segment where we take a player from this week, this past week, somebody who did something spectacular, and we make them our greatest of all time, even if it's just for 1 week.
All right. Guys, I got to do it. Tom Brady. He is the GOAT. There's no question about it. 7 Super Bowl appearances, 5 rings, came back from a 25-point deficit, never been done more than 10 points in a Super Bowl. First overtime in a Super Bowl. Like, the guy is the best, man. There's no question about it. If there was even a question before, it's answered. Now I think the new question is he maybe one of the greatest players of all time, not just the greatest quarterback?
And that is a debate. That's a debate that we can have on another show. Definitely, people are talking. Michael Jordan-esque. Is Tom Brady the greatest athlete of all time? I think he's right up there. Hard to argue.
Exactly. I give him another Super Bowl or 2, and I think there's not much more you can argue.
It's hard to argue with that. My GOAT this week is going to be James White. He had 3 touchdowns, 110 receiving yards, 14 receptions, a 2-point conversion, a very key 2-point conversion. My GOAT this week is James White, who to me has come out of nowhere, but apparently Pats fans have seen him doing this for quite some time.
My GOAT this week is the guy who made the bet with Jeannie Bouchard. I mean, he's getting himself a date here. Atta boy. Gets lots of chicks. I love it.
Props to this guy, man. Absolutely.
All right, thanks for coming on, Kev. We'll get you as maybe around free agency, or if not, before the season starts again. How about that?
Sounds good to me. I just got one last little tidbit for you guys to leave you here. Did you know that the Pats have been in 9 Super Bowls? They lost the first 2. They won in 01, 03, and 04. They lost the next 2, one in 15, 17. All I'm saying is history repeats itself. 2018, here we come.
This is why we bring you on here, Kev. These stats we've never heard of, they're coming to light. Thanks so much for coming on the show, Kev. We'll talk to you again soon.
Yeah, Google's pretty useful, bud?
Sounds good, boys. Take care.
All right, have a good one.
And keep her locked right here. We've got a full jam-packed show coming up. We're going to talk some NHL and NBA. The Raptors are playing tonight. They're playing the Clippers. We'll get into that. We'll also have our cleanup segment, some MLB roundup, as well as an injury report. So stick around. Sports Chatter continues after this.
Don't travel, don't double dribble. I want a good clean game and no back talk.
I figured since I'm going to be like Mike, I might as well dress like Mike,
Lowry. Half-court heave, a prayer at the buzzer. Oh!
Stop hogging it, Mike. We're your teammates.
How do you intend to match up to the Squire's strong inside game?
It's a great question. Tomorrow, after the game, Jackie Moon, will wrestle a bear.
Well, no Bears tonight, their backs, but they do have DeRozan back. The Raptors in action tonight against the Clippers. How are we seeing that?
Well, this game is going to be an interesting one. DeRozan coming back. Hopefully, he's not coming back too early again this time. Hopefully, we see a more healthier and ready to play DeRozan. We're watching the pregame here. See Damari Carroll there. Hopefully, he's a little more healthy. I don't want to see him taking random threes anymore. I want him to be, attacking the rim and distributing the ball a bit better. And Kyle Lowry's been playing like a beast right now too. So hopefully they can push the Clippers, because the Raptors right now, just look at the standings. 4th place in the Eastern Conference. The teams in front of them are on big winning streaks. Washington and Boston both have won 7 in a row right now.
Yeah, and you mentioned briefly Kyle Lowry playing like a beast lately. He's ended up playing 105 minutes in his last 5 games, which is unreal. And that guy can't keep it up. The way he plays, he can't. I mean, you saw in the Orlando game, he got frustrated with the 3-point shot that he missed, slapped the ground, didn't even bother getting back on D, took a flyer, and you can't have that.
I mean, he's frustrated. I think Casey's frustrated with the consistency of the defense and the rotation. Corey Joseph's been kind of gotten the brunt of Casey's frustration. I think he's been sitting the last few games. Fred VanVleet has actually been pretty impressive in his spot.
Yeah, he's taken over quite well, which is, I mean, a wake-up call, like you said, for Corey Joseph. And I know I'm a big Kojo fan. Local boy, trying to make good on the team, but I guess Casey just doesn't think he has it this year. He had a good streak there last year after getting picked up from San Antonio, but this year he seems to have fallen out of coach's favor a little bit.
And I think it really is going to be a sign to a lot of the other guys too, especially the younger and the newer guys on this team, that if you're not performing, you're not going to play. And if guys like Corey Joseph or Terrence Ross or Jonas Valanciunas, if they're not playing well, you're going to have Nogueira in there, you're going to have VanVleet in there, you're going to have all these other players that might be
hopefully
giving
more Norman Powell.
Well, Norman Powell's been kind of streaky lately, but yeah, I mean he's going to be in there a little more too. I think he starts some nights with DeRozan back now. Obviously, he's not going to play as much, but it's going to be interesting to see how much guys like Corey Joseph play even tonight. So, like, maybe the message has been sent and he's going to be back in the lineup.
Yeah, you would think. I'm seeing a guaranteed win night for the Clippers tonight. I mean, DeAndre Jordan and Blake Griffin, huge towers there for the Clippers. And I think even without Chris Paul, they'll just dominate down low.
Yeah, the Raptors seem to have trouble with the Clippers, especially in LA, but this one is at home, so hopefully they'll be able to keep her close, especially with DeRozan in the lineup there.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll find out. Some other stuff from around the league there. Anderson Varejao released to waivers from the Warriors. He spent years with Cleveland there and then ended up signing with Golden State. Sounds like Golden State's making room for a guy coming back from injury, and we'll see if anybody picks up Varejao.
Yeah, I think somebody probably will pick up Anderson Varejao. He's kind of a journeyman around the league now. People know what he is and what he can bring. He's never going to be the player he was in Cleveland, though, I don't think, anymore. But the Warriors really didn't need him. They've got 4 amazing players already.
Absolutely. Some other possible news of movement in the league. Sounds like talks are picking up between the Sixers and the Pelicans regarding Jahlil Okafor. And I mean, this is kind of making room for Embiid to just take over that team.
Yeah, I think the Sixers have a plethora of young, big talent there, and Joel Embiid, the process. He's basically the guy in Philadelphia now. He's one of the most athletic and stretched out big men that the league has seen in quite some time, and they're just poised to dominate in a few years from now. But Okafor maybe is expendable now. Maybe they can get somebody at a different position to kind of help out. In Philadelphia, and New Orleans could probably take Okafor and maybe bring him along with Anthony Davis there.
Yeah, I mean, we know Embiid has his sights set on becoming an all-star, and his sights set on something else in the league, I think, or just outside of the league with Rihanna.
Yeah, he's got his hands full with that.
Absolutely. Another big game tonight, the Cavs versus the Wiz. Like you said earlier, the Wiz are on a tear right now, winners of their last 7, including a win against the Raptors.
So my biggest question right now is, who is going to be the number 2 team in this conference? Right now, Boston and Washington are right there. Toronto is just, believe it, they're right also tied with Washington, a couple games back of Boston. Who's going to be that 2nd seed? Who's going to really step up? It could be any of those 3 teams. Atlanta is even right there as well. 2 through 5 is only separated by 2.5 games.
Yeah, deadlocked. It'll be interesting to see coming down the stretch run here in the next month and a half or so. And also, I mean, it's interesting to see what's going to happen around the trade deadline just coming up the end of this month.
And another interesting take, too, about the Raptors kind of struggling right now. Maybe this will bode well for them going into the playoffs. They'll be playing almost playoff-style basketball for a longer period of time, as opposed to the last few years where they just kind of waltzed in, They knew where they were going to be playing, seeded. They knew who they were going to be playing, or at least the type of team they were going to be playing, and they struggled against those teams. And they barely won a couple series last year, and they got swept against Washington the year before. Maybe playing this kind of tough, hard-nosed playoff basketball leading into the playoffs will bode well for them a bit better.
Yeah, you got to wonder if it's going to be good, or it'll just end up wearing them down, and they'll just be 4-out again in the playoffs. Also, having said about the trade deadline, you got to wonder about Kyle Lowry, a free agent at the end of this year. Is he going to be on his way out? We mentioned the Sixers; they're a good young team. That's his hometown. There's a possible landing spot for him there.
But his best friend plays for the Raptors, so I think that they're kind of tight knit there. I think that DeRozan would probably convince him to come back for a few more years.
I guess we'll see come the summer.
Well, we shall see.
I guess we'll move along to another league, the National Hockey League, and we'll pick it up.
Listen up. We're still in this thing. We just need a quick one. Listen up, Cash! We gotta work harder than them, okay?
What is icing?
Well, icing happen when the puck come down, bang, before the other guys.
Doesn't count unless you go Bardowski.
You gotta go Bardowski, Schmel.
It's knuckle puck time.
All right, so we're going to talk some NHL now. Leafs and Bruins. We're going to talk about them first, and quite a wild game on Saturday. William Nylander had his first career NHL hat trick. 6-5 was the final for the Leafs. This game was a barn burner. What were your thoughts when this was going on?
A run and gun style. I loved it, to be honest with you. I mean, they were up 4-1, and I mean, you saw the tweets all over. Oh, don't trust 4-1 in Boston, and don't trust white boxers, but. You got to think with this team, I mean, like James Van Riemsdyk said, it's not the same team that lost it in Boston, right? And these young kids just don't have a quit. They don't have an off button. They think they can win every game, and they go after every game. And you think, like, guys like Mitch Marner, Willie Nylander, Matthews, they've experienced playoff hockey before. Sure, not at the NHL level, and people always say, oh, it's different at the NHL level, but these kids have only known winning. Mm-hmm. Like, that's how they've been raised. They were the best kids on their team all the way growing up, and I mean, they're coming together and really gelling. I think they could be poised to even take this to the first round of playoffs at least.
Yeah, the way they're playing right now, I think it's very possible. I do like what JVR said. This is a completely different group. I mean, I think a lot of those tweets were just kind of joking around with them, saying, oh, 4-1, they blow another lead. But this team, this year specifically, is notorious for blowing leads. They have to play better when they're ahead, and they have to lock down some of these games, or else it might come back to bite them. A couple of points here and there, they lose in overtime or whatever in games that they were up by 2 or 3 goals. That might be the difference going into playoff time.
Yeah, Anderson needs to go back to his form. He seems to have regained his form from the beginning of the season, which was not so good.
No, it wasn't.
He needs to get back to that middle of the season.
He's given up a fair amount of goals lately, but I think the defense too hasn't really helped him. It's kind of hung him out to dry on a lot of them.
No, Riley's still not playing at 100%. He was just saying today he is back in the lineup, but still not 100%. Sounds like Marinson's out and Hunwick is in tonight, so that'll be interesting. And they picked up another guy, Marchenko. This is obviously Babcock's guy. This guy from Detroit. He knows him. He wants to get him up to speed, he said, before throwing him in the lineup. So, I mean, I don't know too much about him, Bax.
I don't know too much about him either, but I do know that if Babcock likes him, I'm going to like him. And I think that I'd rather have a guy that Babcock likes in the system than a guy like Frankie Corrado, who really just couldn't gain any traction here. And Babs obviously had a little bit of an issue with him in the way he was playing.
Yeah, I hear Marchenko plays 6-5 every shift, so that's a Babcock kind of guy.
Yep.
And I think he'll draw in ahead of Marinson because let's be honest, Marinson has been a train wreck.
Yeah, he hasn't been too great either. Other than he was brought in to kind of move the puck a little from back there, but he hasn't been doing that very well lately either.
Yeah, I don't know how Marchenko handles the puck, if he can make that first pass. I know we were talking about Tom Gilbert last week. Obviously, they didn't bite on him, but I mean, it'll be interesting to see how Marchenko goes. He picked up old Dion Phaneuf's number 3, so we'll see if he can do it a little better.
Yeah, we'll see. In other NHL news this week, We're going to talk a little Patrick Marleau, and I think we kind of mentioned him a few weeks back even, but now he's hit his 500th goal earlier this week. What do we think about Patrick Marleau and possible Hall of Fame aspirations?
I love Patty Marleau. I think he's a real beauty. I mean, he's been there the entire way in San Jose right from the beginning. And that franchise has drug him through hell. I mean, he was there with Owen Nolan when they were doing good in the 90s, and then the new regime, he became captain and took over through the 2000s, and then they stripped him of the captaincy and gave it to Joe Thornton, and Joe Thornton's been stripped of it, and it's gone to Joe Pavelski now. But through it all, he's just been a good teammate. He puts his head down and puts that puck in the back of the net every year. This guy's good for 30 goals and about 55 points.
And there's something to be said for loyalty, and a guy that sticks out his entire career with the same team, even through the ups and the downs. And of course, they had a huge up last year and finally making that Stanley Cup Finals. He still hasn't won a cup. Do you think that'll be a downfall in him getting into the Hall or not, or is 500 goals basically the benchmark for even if you've won a cup, you're still going to make it?
Well, only 45 guys have done 500 goals in their career, so I think he's in based on that. And then you look at the kind of goals he scored. 20% of his goals have been game winners backs.
Wow, he's very, very clutch player, and also an international clutch player. He's won gold with Canada multiple times.
Yeah, absolutely. And plus, his name's Patrick, so you just know he's a beauty.
You just know he's a beauty with that kind of name. The Ottawa Senators goaltender Craig Anderson is coming back. He's going to be 100%, and he's coming back from spending some time out with his wife there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a terrible story. His wife's got cancer. I mean, it doesn't look good, but I mean, it's good that the team's kind of rallied around him and around that. I mean, Mike Condon has been unbelievable for him, and I mean, hopefully he can come back and be 100% mentally there. It's a tough situation, but you got to think that hockey's something that he loves and that he's always done, right? So it's kind of a comfort for him.
Yeah, and the Ottawa Senators are a team that the league always just seems to kind of forget about. And, they're always right there in the thick of it. And now they're going to be having two goaltenders that can kind of stop the puck pretty well. So I think...
yeah, they always just seem to luck out. I mean, with the Hamburglar a couple years ago, and now with Mike Condon, I mean, he got passed around the league. He looked good in Montreal, and then Montreal let him go. And
I mean, you look at their records, too. They're second right now in the Atlantic, just behind Montreal, obviously. But 27, 17, and 6, they're pretty solid.
Yeah, if Bobby Ryan can ever get his game up to 100%, and I mean, you saw a couple weeks ago there, or was it last week, where Erik Karlsson just berated him and said, listen, we need better from you. I mean, you got to love a guy stepping up like that and calling out his teammates when they need it.
He's been brought in to score goals, and so far he hasn't been that peripheral goal scorer that they thought they were getting from the Ducks all those years back.
Well, yeah, and you see he was insulated with the Ducks, right? Yeah, I mean, you had the top line with Ryan Getzlaf and Corey Perry, and then teams matched up against him, or matched up against them, and he was kind of left to the second defense pair there, and he was able to run ruck shot. He's a great player, but I mean, you see that he was left off Team USA there for a reason, right?
Same with Phil.
Lack of compete.
Yeah, exactly. We are going to move on to some MLB news after this, so stay tuned.
Hitting is not about muscle. It's simple physics.
Do you drug test the players?
No. On into the windup in his first offering. Just a bit outside.
You stink, Strawberry! We want home run homers! Daryl. Hey, Yankees! You can take your apology out of your trophy and shove it straight up your ass!
Welcome back. We got a little bit of Blue Jays news today. The Jays have signed right-hander Joe Smith. The 32-year-old, he's going to be in the bullpen this year for the Jays.
Split time with the L.A. Angels and the Cubs last year. Ended up the year with a 3.46 ERA, 40 strikeouts, 52 innings pitched. Not a bad year. Again, a one-year deal, right-handed reliever. 32 years old, so they're really driving that getting young point home.
They really are. I think this is going to be a good veteran presence to throw in that bullpen.
He's an arm.
Yeah, he's basically an arm. I mean, you can't go wrong with some of these guys, especially on one-year deals. He's going to help out some of the younger guys in the bullpen, hopefully stabilize it and really help out that bridge that we've been talking about, that bridge to get to Gurley and Osuna. He might even be more effective than Jason Gurley this year, Mike Wilner was saying.
Yeah, I don't know what the heck these Jays are doing. It seems like they're just throwing darts at the wall and seeing what sticks. I mean...
But sometimes that's what you got to do with relievers. I mean, that's the only way you're going to find
that. Relievers are so volatile one year to the next. You never know what's going to happen. I mean, this guy could blow up to an ERA over 6, or he could have a 1.0 ERA. You just never know.
And it's interesting, too, though. I mean, he pitched in ballparks in L.A. and in Chicago, notoriously parks that you're going to have a lot lower ERA. You come to the Rogers Center now. Not a lot of guys want to come into this AL East, so we'll see how he kind of does with all these big bats.
Yeah, exactly. So the sluggers coming the other way. Another small note from around the league: the Royals signing Jason Hamill. Good little signing for them. Underrated. I can't believe this guy's still around. I don't know why the Jays didn't go after him.
Yeah, I'm not sure. The Jays could have definitely gone after him. He's probably going to be a starter in Kansas City. And the Cubs just had too many good starters to really keep him around. So I think this could be a good depth move for the Kansas City Royals. A lot of teams getting better right now.
Kind of replaces Ventura.
Ventura, the sad story that was earlier this season as well.
Well, I guess we'll head on into the cleanup.
Clean up on aisle 4.
Clean up on aisle 3.
But we're going to need a cleanup on aisle 3.
Clean up on aisle 3. I got it.
Testosterone spill on aisle 4.
Clean up in all the aisles.
All right, this is our cleanup segment, a segment where we'll talk another couple random sports here that we didn't cover earlier. A kind of a funny story in tennis this week. A Canadian, Denis Shapovalov, hit a ref in the eye when he was kind of frustrated with a call in one of his tennis matches. He just kind of flung the ball up and it just bounced.
More than flung it.
He bounced and it hit the ref right in the eye.
Oh no, this was a wind up and a half. This kid was just letting loose. I think he's 17 years old or something like that. This he looked like he was trying to knock it right out of the park. He was so ripped off. And you gotta think this is gonna happen sometime or the other. I mean, I don't know when it became commonplace in tennis for them to just whack the ball into the stands as hard as they can, but at some point you just gotta use your head and think, oh, this is gonna hit somebody. Maybe I shouldn't smash it 150 kilometers an hour right at somebody's face.
And if you're wondering what happened afterwards, he did get disqualified.
Disqualified and a $7,000 fine. So we'll see who's paying that.
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, the ref did not look good. Like that eye was swollen right up.
We got some curling news now. The Tankard came to an end last night. 16-time champion Glenn Howard. Glenn Howard is now obviously a 16-time champion. He beat Wayne Tuck from Brantford.
Local story there. I mean, the dominance of Glenn Howard has been unreal. I mean, 16 years, like you said, and the guy just doesn't quit.
Mm-hmm.
Another news from the CFL. The Alouettes release Rakeem Cato. This came as a shock to me. I mean, I was under the impression Cato was doing well there and that they were looking at him to be the next quarterback of the future. I mean, Anthony Calvillo's there, a quarterback coach. He thought he'd be able to mentor him, but I guess not.
Yeah, now I'm not even exactly sure who's going to be the quarterback in Montreal next year. They've got a few options there, but no one that really stands out.
Yeah, since Calvillo's left, I think, well, I know that the whole entire franchise has kind of fallen apart on them.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like he was the glue that held that team together.
And some funny news in terms of Eugenie Bouchard and her kind of Super Bowl bet.
Yeah, we mentioned this earlier. My goat, the guy asking or making the bet against Bouchard for the date, the guy from Chicago. I guess he's a big Tiger Woods fan. Anyway, sounds like Bouchard is going to go through and pay up on her debt. I mean, that could be interesting.
It's interesting. Good for her for actually sticking to her word. But I mean, that could be a.
Hopefully she brings some security.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking.
Oh, we got some breaking news here.
Breaking news.
Just coming across the ticker. Why don't you fire this off?
Yeah, Kyle Shanahan has been officially hired as the new head coach of the San Francisco 49ers. He coached his last game last night in the Super Bowl with the Atlanta Falcons.
Picked up a big L?
Yeah, he picked up the big L there, that's for sure. And Shanahan was widely rumored to be interested and interviewed for the 49ers job, and now he has officially signed to go on with the Niners there.
Yeah, I bet that L really hurts, but I mean, new job is always a good thing.
Yeah, he's going to be replacing Chip Kelly in San Francisco, where they really have
a disaster.
A disaster on their hands. Good luck to him. That's all I'm saying. He's leaving a really stable situation in Atlanta.
Absolutely. Speaking of disasters, let's head to the injury report.
Oh, look at that! Oh my goodness! They just dropped the stretcher. Oh my goodness!
I think I will.
And again, I have no idea what that is.
That's what you want to know?
Your manager said you were sick.
Yeah, I had a diarrhea.
Welcome to the injury report. This is the segment where we talk about some injuries from around random leagues, pro-wise. We've got some NHL injuries to talk about tonight. Robbie Fabry of the St. Louis Blues has an ACL tear, and he's going to be out for the rest of the year.
Yeah, this is a big one for the St. Louis Blues, who have, in the last couple of weeks, they've suffered a few setbacks there, including firing their coach. But, Robbie Fabry's a fantastic player. I remember watching him in when he was playing here in Guelph.
Yep.
And, just dynamic, offensive ability, everything like that. And I was actually just hearing a story the other day about him playing against Connor McDavid when they were younger, and he was a guy who gave him fits. Wow. So you got to think in the playoffs, if they possibly came up across the Oilers, could be a good guy to have.
Yeah, it would have been interesting. Yeah, Fabry, as you mentioned, the former Guelph Storm alumni, he had 11 goals and 18 assists this year. He was really kind of playing well for St. Louis, and he just seems to not be able to stay healthy at all for them. He's like a very injury-prone player at this point in his career.
Almost like a Joffrey Lupul, would you say?
Almost like a Joffrey Lupul, probably made of glass.
Another NHL injury here. Carl Hagelin out with a concussion. That could be bad news for Phil Kessel.
It could be, and you never really know with the concussions anymore. He could be out a game. He could be out 2-3 weeks. He could be out even longer than that. You never know.
Crosby is a prime example for that in Pittsburgh. And if you come back too soon, you could be out that much longer. So you don't want to mess around with these things.
Mm-hmm.
Another note from the Raptors game this evening. Looks like Pat's out. Patrick Patterson still out for the Raps.
His knee still isn't fully healed. We mentioned earlier DeMar DeRozan is back in the lineup, but Patterson is the glue that kind of holds the Raptors together, as we're kind of finding out this year. Without him, really stabilizing that rotation, sometimes starting, sometimes mostly coming off the bench. The Raptors really suffer.
Yeah, and Damari Carroll is still battling that finger injury, so be interesting to keep an eye on that. I think that's about it for us this week. Tune in next week when we'll go over some of those stretch drives and heading into the playoffs for both the NBA and the NHL, as well as trade deadlines.
Trade deadlines, they are creeping closer. We will keep an eye on that, and anything else breaking, we will bring it to you on Sports Chatter with Bax and Patter. Be sure to give us a subscribe and follow on YouTube, and our Twitter handles are B_Bax_ for myself.
And at PGR10.
Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you again next week on Sports Chatter.
I think we did all right.
I thought he was okay. Just okay.
It's not good, eh?
Terrible.
Screw you guys. I'm going home.